Folks, it's Donal Ward McCarthy here again, Keller Williams Realty, just bringing you your neighbourhood update on Bloordale Village, specifically right now. Above me you just saw the kind of stats for the GTA for May 2019. So now let's dig into the sales that actually occurred in May in Bloordale Village. When I say Bloordale Village, we're talking about DuPont down to Bloor, Lansdowne over there to the tracks. So you've got Ward Avenue and a few places on Wallace. So let's dig in. There were actually only 4 sales in May. So despite the fact that we had a 19% or almost a 20% growth in sales in May, that isn't the case when we actually look at some of our neighbourhoods. So specifically Bloordale, 4 sales. Number 1 was 720 Brock Avenue. Here was a smaller little home, semi-detached, 2-story. The lot size quite small, like I say, 16 by about 80 foot. So that one sold, listed at $899. So they listed low. They had a multiple offer strategy, and 6 days later, it sold for 9% above asking. Sold for $985. So it was an older home. It was not renovated. So that was about right on the money. You know, good for the buyer, good for the seller there. Next, we have 42 Lappin Avenue. Here was a home that was listed a few times, took a while to sell. They tried a couple of different strategies. Initially, they had listed this at $999. They held back offers. Offer night came and went and backfired. Just so happened that there was another home across the street listed at $999, which sold for almost $1.4 million. So what happened this one? Well, it was detached bungalow. So it wasn't 2-story or anything. It was on the north side of Lappin. So it's going to, for the next 10, 12 years, not just in this backyard, it's going to be looking onto the Galleria development for the next 10 or 12 years. So anyways, they readjusted strategy a couple of times, ultimately listed it at $929, and it sold 26 days later at $920. Okay. Then 114 Dufferin Street did quite well here for the sellers. Listed at $949, so listed low again. Here was a home, semi-detached, 2-story, 25-foot frontage. So that was what was great about this one, a private drive and 2-car detached garage in the back as well too. So that one sold for 1.2. So that was about right on the money for a lot size of 25 by 120 or so. On Dufferin though, so I think the sellers did fairly well, but I think again the tightness of supply in our neighbourhoods is again pushing up these prices. Here's an interesting one, 380 Margaretta. So here was a really nice home that I think about 3.5 years ago sold for about 1.226. And at that time it was a flip. People put in a lot of money, they put it back on the market, and it was timed perfectly. It was that springtime in 2017 when the market went absolutely nuts prior to the government bringing in their 16-point plan to calm down the market. It sold for 1.85 back then. I know that the current owners put in a good bit of money into it. There were some leakage problems in the basement, what have you. Sold for 1.85 million this time around. So interesting story there. You know, you've got a home that sold 2 years ago on that peak, 1.85. Here we are again 3 years later, sold for exactly the same amount of money. So one could argue we're back up to those. We've gone through our little bit of a correction downwards, and we started climbing back up again last July. And there you go, a story telling us that we are actually back at those kind of crazy prices we saw in March of 2017. Now the difference is that this time it's taking us, you know, a 2 or 3% per month increase. You know, it wasn't like it just went all of a sudden 10% increase in 2 months back then. So I would say, arguably say, that our market is worth that now because it's taken us a bit of time to creep up there. So there you have it, folks. That's Bloordale Village for May 2019, those 4 sales. Below me here as well too, you'll see a little chart, and what we do is we break down the last 6 months of sales. So from December 1st to May 31st, we do an aggregate of what detached, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 bedroom homes sold for. You can see the average price, you can see the highest price that sold. You can also do that for semi-detached and row houses as well too. So have a peek at that as well too. It gives you more of an insight into the averages in our neighbourhood, other than just 4 sales of what we just spoke about there. Again, Donal Ward McCarthy here, Keller Williams. We're here for all things to do with real estate. You need a plumber, you need an electrician, you've got mortgage coming up for renewal. We're just here for giving you advice on anything. Okay, thanks folks. Have a good month. Talk to you next month.